Welcome back to Sim Sunday, and in this episode we have something pretty special for you. The Real Airbus pilot has taken over control of this episode, and today he's in Christchurch on New Zealand's South Island to Phoenix Airfield at Scott Base in Antarctica, and he's going to be making this flight in the Flight Factor Boeing 757-200 of the Royal New Zealand Air Force Squadron 40. Phoenix Airfield on Ross Island is actually quite close to the Pegasus Airfield, where the majority of Antarctic flights go into. And as you would expect, the Real Airbus pilot is using true track rather than magnetic heading because he's flying to the pole, the South Pole in this case. So with all flight surfaces tested, free and easy, and pre-taxi checks complete, it's time for the Real Airbus pilot to take this Boeing 757 to the runway.
Airport 55, flight heading 190, runway 20, you're clear for takeoff.
Flight 190, runway 20, airport 55.
Contact center on 135.95.
Contact center on 135.95, airport 55.
Another beautiful departure by the Real Airbus pilot in the Flight Factor Boeing 757-200. The Real Airbus pilot was telling me that the Flight Factor Boeing 757 is probably one of his favourite aircraft or favourite virtual aircraft in his virtual aircraft hangar. He says that the modelling, the physics engine and even the sound set is incredibly realistic. I used to have a 757 for FSX from Quality Wings, but I've never bothered to upgrade it to prepared 3D version 4.5 that I'm using. With the pandemic, so few airlines are now flying the 757, so I've thought, why bother? And from what I've been reading, even the New Zealand Air Force are planning to replace these 757s, potentially with Airbus A321 ULRs. So without a doubt, the days are numbered for the gorgeous Boeing 757, which of course I used to fly regularly on business trips between Belfast and London Heathrow back in the 1980s and even well into the 1990s. Because this is our Interesting Approaches series, the Real Airbus pilot is going to jump directly to the approach and landing phase. The big question that he had when making this video was to see how the ATC with an X-plane handled the magnetic directions in this part of the world. I should also probably state at this point in the video that the Real Airbus pilot has HSimulations Antarctica, which is add-on scenery for this part of the world for X-Plane 11. A few weeks ago I flew over the North Pole when producing one of my ultra long-haul flight series in the PMDG 777-300ER of Emirates between Dubai and San Francisco. I'm not even sure if there are any airfields in the North Pole to land on, so this approach into Phoenix Airfield in Antarctica is one that I'm really looking forward to. Anyway, let's see how the Real Airbus pilot gets on landing this Flight Factor 757 at the South Pole.
Airport 55, fly heading 020, vectors for the visual, runway 33, descend and maintain 5,000.
Fly heading 020, vectors for the visual, runway 33, descend and maintain 5,000, airform 55.
Airport 55, fly heading 170, vectors for the visual, runway 15, climb and maintain 5,000. Airport 55, fly heading 170, vectors for the visual, runway 15, climb and maintain 5,000.
Fly heading 170, vectors for the visual, runway 15, climb and maintain 5,000, airform 55.
Well, that's a change from what was originally briefed. The Real Airbus pilot had been planning an approach into runway 33, but as you can hear, ATC is now vectoring him towards runway 15. And therefore, at this stage of the flight, the Real Airbus pilot is beginning to wonder if he's starting to see some of the quirks of X-plane while flying in this part of the world.
Fly heading 020, report the field at sight, airform 55.
Airport 55, clear visual approach, runway 15, you're leaving my airspace, radar service terminated.
Cleared visual approach, runway 15, airform 55.
As you can imagine, the approach into Phoenix Airfield is a pure visual approach. So as you can see here, the Real Airbus pilot has lined up the 757 really early towards runway 15. Flaps are also set to full in a bid to stabilise a steady approach into this tricky airbase in the Antarctic.
$1,000. 500.
'I have no idea how the Real Airbus pilot made that landing look so easy. I could barely see the runway until the last minute. It is worth pointing out that the Real Airbus pilot made this journey from Christchurch down to Antarctic with enough fuel to get there and back again. He was saying there are some serious issues at loading fuel at very low temperatures. It's also worth pointing out that Phoenix Airbase is also served by an ultra-long-range Airbus A319 out of Australia. And there's also a tourist flight operated by a division of Iceland Air from Punta Arenas on the southern tip of Chile in South America. So as the Real Airbus pilot taxis this Boeing 757 of Flight Factor to the stand, it just goes to prove that you can deliver another very interesting approach in a part of the world you normally wouldn't travel to in real life, but you can here in Flight Simulator, in X-Plane 11 in this case. So with that, I'm going to bring this episode of Sim Sunday to an end. I'd also like to thank the Real Airbus pilot for taking the time to make this flight to the Antarctic. We both hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.